Hey guys, I'm Janet on occasion, and today we're playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This one is a community car sent in by Aristodemos, though he's actually playing as an alias at the moment, but he's playing with a buddy of his, Reginald Puggington, who I'm sure you've also seen on the circuit. He's very good, and it's that horrible matchup. It's the terrible matchup, the one I hate. The one that I know I'd lose, you know, it's that one. It's Beastmen versus Vampire Counts. It's a horrible matchup. But here you can see, just at a glance, complete opposite strategy to what I tend to go with. Just completely opposite, right? I try and brute strength, right? Just really small, tight army, smash everything, try and get as much damage in as possible. He's spread everything out. He's spread everything out, and he has supporting units. So he's doing it totally differently. So here you can see he's got Harpies. Harpies can be great for chasing down fell bats, and also hassling lords in the air. They can be really useful for. And they can get where they need to be, which is very nice. I like Harpies for that. Also, he has some Centaurs, just the standard ones, no great weapons there. So it'll be good harass, but they will lack a bit of armor piercing against certain units. He also has some Razor Gores. These guys will add some much needed mass. They're very good defensive units because they will just bog stuff down a long time. They are very good at that, and they get some good damage in, especially into like heavy cav. They are very good at that. You know, with some support, they can stay alive for a long time. And if that support is just something like Ungor Spearmen, they do great. Also, a load of archers. These Ungor Raiders, nice and spread out. Obviously, they stalk, so you're not going to see them initially, but they can get some good work done, you know, in prolonged combat. And when you've got a very wide line like this, it's difficult because there's only so many things that are quick enough to get on top of them. And it's all going to be the cavalry. You know, it's all going to be cavalry, and they're going to be great for supporting each other. So cavalry gets in one end, these two can turn around and start shooting at the cavalry and just have that just slow building damage, you know, it'll add up over time. And they're not that expensive, so it's not a bad idea. So really nice spread out lines. Obviously with my tactics I tend to go with the Beast Lord and use the attack buffs. So I want as much of my army to get affected by that as possible. So I always go super tight. So things like archers, you're just not going to be able to protect them because they're not going to have to travel far to get around your lines, you know. So I tend to avoid using them. So like I said, very different strategy. Also, he has a couple of Centaurs with throwing axes. These guys, great armor piercing, really, really good damage. But I always find they just end up, you know, being chased around by skeleton spearmen and just random nonsense like that. So it's very difficult to get value from them, you know, it's very difficult to get them on the right targets. You've got to put a lot of effort into keeping them alive long enough, you know, unaccosted to be able to start getting their axes on something once the enemy army is starting to get whittled down, you know, and they don't have the spare units just to throw in random directions to keep them busy. So it's tough. So, Reginald here. You see, over here he's got the Dire Pack. These guys, anti-large, not a lot of armor piercing, but you don't really need it against most large units that you're going to be facing. So that's really nice. Also, Blood Knights that are actually taking some damage from the throwing axes, and they are a great target for it. And also Fell Bats. So Fell Bats, obviously no match for the Harpies, but I think, yeah, they can outrun them, can't they? They can outrun them. So that's something they're going to have to try and do. But the Bats are great for dealing with something like the Centaurs, so coming in with the Harpies is great just to keep them away while you're getting some damage into the Blood Knights. So very nice play here. Anyway, Skeleton Spearmen, Skeleton Warriors, the Sternsmen, Konigstein Stalkers, more Skeleton Warriors, more Skeleton Spearmen, Blood Knights, and Black Knights. Also a Banshee. Banshee can be very hard to take out because if we have a look at the leadership, he has a Brave Shaman of Shadows, but he doesn't have Occam's Mind Razor. And I think that is a very useful thing to have. Very useful indeed. Being able to give something magic damage is pretty handy. It is pretty handy. It's good insurance against ethereal units. Also, he's got Morga. Morga I don't usually bring because I go with the Beast Lord, right? I go for the attack buffs. But actually, Morga's a weird one. He can be sort of countered or ignored, or there's a few other things. But we've seen Chaos Spawn actually do pretty well at cutting through a lot of the flak, so it's kind of nice to have those summons, but one of them can just be triggered by zombies. If Reginald was clever here, he could actually just charge Manfred out, put zombies on top of him, and the zombies will get beaten up and immediately turned into Chaos Spawn, and that Chaos Spawn summon would have been wasted. That's like half of the summons that he would have had. It would have just been complete waste. So that's a very good strategy for the vampire counts that he could have done. So Manfred von Carstein, obviously. So beautiful selection of death magic and lore of vampires, and he just gets so much Winds of Magic. When he's in combat, he gets more Winds of Magic back. He's got Master of the Dark Arts, isn't it? This one, yep. Master of the Black Arts. Black Arts, sorry. Increased power reserves and power recharge rate. He gets a load of magic. So let's speed things up anyway. We've got through it all. So you know, great selections by both players here. But like I said, this is just completely the opposite of the sort of build I tend to bring. just completely opposite. It couldn't be any more different. So it's great to see a totally different strategy being used, you know, with the same faction. It's very cool. So, but what's nice is these Ungor spearmen, they can hold back a lot of the infantry for quite a while. You know, a little bit of backup from the throwing axes. Got archers that can do some overwatch fire against things like zombies. You know, the archers can get rid of them quite quickly. And here are some now. So Melkoths to try and slow down the Blood Knights, which means you can shoot at them for longer, and they're not going to be able to get as good charges off, or maneuver as quickly. So Melkoths is a great way to control the pace of the battlefield. So Shadow Magic, I think, is great. Honestly, I think that last game that I had against Sotek, I think Shadows would have been better picked than the Wild, because the strategy I was going for, I wanted the match to be over so quickly. I didn't really need that extra, vigor. I didn't need the vigor that you get from casting spells with the Lore of the Wild. I didn't really need that, but that's kind of what I wanted. But it didn't really have time for any of my guys to become exhausted, so I think Shadows would have been a better pick. But yeah, he's got Shadows here with a totally different army. So it's not even that this is actually going to take a long time. So this might actually be better with Wild, but it's great to be able to control the pace of the Blood Knights, so I can't argue with it. You know, Melkoths is too useful a spell. So over here, there's a bit of a hassle going on. Centaurs have been fighting the Fellbats. They're almost taken out, but Blood Knights are probing, so he has to be careful here. Over on this side, you can see there has been a Soul Blight cast, so all the Beastmen are struggling a bit in here. Over on this side, you know, the Razor Gore herd and the Harpies, they're keeping this stuff busy for a while, but the Spearmen are going to do great against the Razor Gore herd. The Blood Knights are anti-large again. The Harpies, they're the only thing that aren't large here, you know. They're going to do okay, but they're not as good combatants. They don't have a lot of armor, you know, they're still going to get skewered. So that has not gone well, and now the floodgates are open. In the front, though, there has been a lot of damage done, you know, on both sides. But you can see all, you know, the Chaos Spawn summoning is helping get through these zombies nice and quickly, and it's freeing up a lot of units. And it's keeping the Bray Shaman safe. The Bray Shaman being alive for a long time is brilliant. That is really nice. And Manfred has taken quite a lot of damage just from all the ranged attacks, you know. Whether it's the throwing axes or the Ungor Raiders, Manfred's been taking a lot of damage, so he's having to keep moving here. Over on this side, though, more zombies have been summoned to try and stop these guys from firing, but Aristodemos has been very quick to react, to try and shut them down quickly. He can't allow his army to be outnumbered. The strength that is in his army is the numbers, you know. He can gang up on stuff if he wants to, and that's what he's trying to do. So he has multiple units attacking multiple things, and that's how he's able to kill that stuff quickly. It's through numbers, not brute strength. So, really cool to see. So here we can see that Manfred's still taking some damage, but, you know, he's going to be alright. It's Manfred, you know, he can get a lot of healing in. Yeah, there we go. Upgraded Invocation to Haircut, all of these guys. So, Blood Knights, though, really close to their healing cap. They've been taking a huge amount of damage throughout this entire battle. Only 82 kills as well. You know, it's not a huge amount. So it's pretty impressive. Over on this side, yeah, there's a lot of units, you know, in here, having a scrap with the Blood Knights. But, yeah, these Centaurs with throwing axes are getting a little bit caught out. These Spearmen, they're moving to try and deal with the Black Knights to sort of solidify this centre. But it does mean the Blood Knights can deal with the throwing axes a little easier. And now Manfred is going for the other unit, knowing that he's sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. It's quite easy to catch them out. And more zombies on top of them is going to be very difficult for them to maneuver out of there. So Manfred's going to be able to get some really good damage and really limit the amount of axes that can be thrown, you know. You can't throw an axe if you're dead. So, not ideal. And the odd unit getting terrified away. Blood Knights, though, hit their healing cap, which is absolutely amazing, and this other unit is crumbling, which I'm amazed how much damage this unit has taken. I have a feeling that this unit is actually very spread out through a lot of units, because, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Enfeebling Foe, really low stats now, so these Ungor Spearmen are going to be able to do a lot of damage to these guys, which is wonderful. And here, all the Harpies are going to start accosting all of these units. Just extra damage, you know, really just make sure that Invocation to Heck can't keep them going. And you can see they're not really making any gains with that spell. They're still taking more damage. So that's wonderful. But the other Blood Knights are charging in. But it's still just Spearmen, you know. You don't want to be fighting this stuff. And you can see on this side, now all the recovering units, they are able to come back. Another great advantage with having a really spread out army of Beastmen is when stuff runs away, it comes back. You know? That's the weird thing. If you go really small, like I tend to do, and just try and brute force things, if something routs, your entire army routs. You know, they all see everything nearby running away. But a unit over here, it's not going to care if something over here runs away. It's going to keep fighting, you know, it doesn't affect it. It's too far away for it to take notice. So it means that you end up having this sort of domino effect, but then the dominoes get back up. you know, in the same order. It's amazing. So you just see that happening. And so it means that constantly more things are getting caught out. You know, things like the summons, they run out of energy and waste away before they've made an impact, before the rest of the army can envelop and destroy what remains. So it's pretty cool. So more zombies being summoned. Morga, he's still having a whale of a time. You know, he hasn't really been damaged yet. He's got quite a few kills, but he's mainly just had zombies summoned on top of him over and over again. Over here you can see the Blood and Gore herd. They've been fighting for a long, long time. They have 134 kills. They've killed the Königstein Stalkers and another unit. I don't know what else they've killed. But they're doing pretty well, and now they're starting to get into the fight. So Manfred wants to make sure that he can get rid of them while they're secluded. But with the Harpies on his tail, it's actually pretty difficult to get out of this. And you can see now his healing cap. He's been taking too much damage over the course of this battle. It's, you know, a really atrocious fight, which is interesting. It's very rare to see an atrocious fight with Beastmen, because Beastmen have terrible leadership, and generally super high DPS. But he's gone with an army that doesn't rely on DPS, it just relies on there being a million of them, which is cool to see. Here you can finally see the Brave Shaman is out of this fight. I'm amazed that he's lasted this long, but he's only broken, he's not shattered yet. He will come back again, which is just insane. To be able to keep your Shaman alive this long, I think is ludicrous. I think Reginald really made a mistake, and this breath attack, just wonderful. I've never seen a breath attack, like an aerial breath attack, that's been that good. But no, those Harpies were just in a big line for him, and the breath attack just went straight down the lot, which is hilarious. At this point, though, where have all the Beastmen gone? Where's the Beastmen army gone? There's a few stragglers, they're coming back in. But, I mean, this is all vampire counts and fleeing Beastmen right now. I mean, Morga, yeah, he's still going, but he's fighting zombies, so of course he's still going. And here, check it out, Brave Shaman's back. Pretty superb. Pretty superb. I love that. I mean, just one enfeebling foe can make the difference here. There's only a couple of units that can really get much done. And saying that, Banshee doesn't really get a lot done. She's just more persistent than anything else. She's not a big killing unit, you know. She doesn't get a lot of killing done. She's just one of those just ever-present nuisances, which is annoying. And cheap terror as well. But when your army is this small now, they're all so close together. I mean, the terror from Manfred is... yeah, I mean, who cares, right? But the Banshee's annoying, to say the least. So here you can see Manfred trying to come in. He uses, even uses Van Hel's Dance Macabre on himself, but doesn't look like he wants to fight yet. He wants to bring everything else in first. And here we can see the Chaos Spawn have been summoned. He hadn't used that Chaos Spawn summon yet. So suddenly that gives him a huge amount of reinforcements that can come in, add some mass and some good fodder killing power. And if he can clear out a lot of this fodder, it means that Manfred is suddenly stuck fighting the whole army. You know, these guys are starting to crumble, which is great. These guys are crumbling. And Melkoth as well to help get rid of them. I mean, they're the Sternsmen. You've got to hit them with everything. They need to be nuked. That regeneration, that, you know, passive regeneration they have, it makes them so tough to kill. Anyway, this stuff all bogged down now. And the poison from the Chaos Spawn is also going to affect all of this. And the poison... I keep saying poison. Poison from Morga. There we go. Well, unfortunately, there goes the Brave Shaman finally. That is a pity. But, hey, Harpies have come back. Hounds, poison hounds coming back. So a lot of poison, you know, it's going to augment the fighting ability of all this cheap crap, because the enemy's not going to be fighting as well, because it's poisoned. You know, it really helps stretch the value of your units. So here, load more archer fire, coming into Manfred. I mean, these archers all came back. There was too much other stuff. That's the thing, units kept coming back, and you have to fight the stuff that's charging you, you know? You can't follow up and chase away all the units. And so now Manfred is just being shot down by everything. Everything is focusing him down. Sure, he's going from unit to unit, but he's taking too much damage as he goes because of all these ranged units that are able to fight quite comfortably because they're not really losing much leadership. They're not in combat. They're not losing combat like, you know, every unit's going to in this kind of situation. So they can just keep firing, and so it's made him really useful. But they're only useful if you're going to go with a very wide formation. If you go with the sort of thing that I tend to, it's impossible. You're never going to keep them safe. They're just going to get wiped out, you know, by cavalry very easily. Or even just hounds or something. They're going to get killed. You're not going to be able to have that constant overwatch sort of presence that they have. So this has been wonderful. Wonderful to see. There were some sort of disclaimers along with this replay that Aristodemos sent me. So he says... I'm going to read the whole paragraph, right? I'm going to read the whole paragraph, and just to embarrass him. But I think it's true. I think it's true, because this match, as great as it was, still seems unlikely, you know? You know? But this build, superb, just totally flipped my strategy, and I think it's great. I think this is really something special, but you've got to be very careful with it. But in a way, it's more forgiving, because you lose a unit, it doesn't cost much, who cares? And it'll come back, because it's not going to cause a chain rout, because everything's so spread out. So that's really useful, you know, very useful indeed. It's just atrocious fighting, rather than killing something too quick for it to heal, which is what I tend to do. This was, you know, make sure everything hits its healing cap. Anyway, so, as I was saying, yes, there's a disclaimer. So, he says, at this point, I want to mention what a great player Reginald Puggington is. He has amazing cavalry play, clever armies, and is overall very dangerous. I'd have to agree with that. He's a good player. I've seen him play a lot, and he's good. He is very good. When it comes down to playing VC, he is at least, that's in italics, on par with me. If not, he is better than me. Brackets, admittedly, I've stopped playing VC in general, but who cares? Tongue out face, close brackets. The only reason why he didn't just smash me was probably because he is such a gentleman and never played the VC against BM before. So enjoy the replay. I've enjoyed the replay. So Aristodemos, thank you so much. And yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, that just proves Reginald is an absolute gentleman, because this has always been known to be a one-sided match. So to just never do it, you know, so many people will just counterpick, but no, he never has in this matchup. So he's never done it before because he knows it's so easy, so he doesn't know how to do it, so suddenly loses. But Aristodemos, I know he's been considering this matchup a lot, because I met him on ladder, I think 6 months ago now. Is a long time ago, and he picked vampire counts. I picked Beastmen. And he said, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? I was like, yeah, man, like, I've beat some other people on ladder using this build, and I want to see if it's actually any good. Because, you know, ladder, you can fight anyone, you know, it could be, I could have fought a load of people, that was their first ever match, you know. It's not a good test of the build. And, well, he smashed me. He totally smashed me. We had a good chat about the, you know, the matchup afterwards. So, yeah, I think this is what he's ended up coming up with. And I think it's really good. It's got a lot of potential. It's got a lot of potential indeed. So, it's going to be interesting to see if this can, you know, if this can keep getting those wins. Because if that's the case, then he might have cracked it. He might have cracked it. Because there's a lot of potential here. I can't really fault it. Yeah, I can't really fault it. I just don't think the vampire counts can get enough momentum to just smash one unit after another and just destroy everything. There's just too many roadblocks. There's too many things that are going to slow you down and, you know, allow units to come back. Too many spells that can be had. You know, there's a lot of difficult things to sort of overcome here, just from the sheer numbers of it. And vampire counts, all of their best sort of, you know, damage-dealing units are very expensive, so you don't have many of them, you know? So things like the Blood Knights, 2 units here. One of them, yeah, 147 kills. But it's very difficult for them to just snowball. So it's an odd one. So I'd love to see if this carries on. You know, if this carries on making gains. It's definitely formidable. So guys, I've prattled on for like 20 minutes now. So but I'm excited. This is a great match, and it's rare to see a win, you know, on this side, especially against someone who I know is capable, like Reginald Puggington. You know, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful day to be had by all. You know, great day to be a Beastman player. So guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.